Right, that's a good.
Pam, Ryan's ready. Are you ready?
Nope, we are apparently not ready.
So, welcome to the regular meeting of the Basalt Town Council. We're going to call to order a little after 6. And Pam, could we get a roll call? I'll talk in slow motion so you can catch up.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Dylan Ponte.
Here.
Katie Schwer. Here. Auden Schendler.
Here.
Gary Tenenbaum. Jackie Whitsitt.
Here.
Jennifer Riffle. Present. Ryan Slack.
Here.
Only one is away.
Thank you very much. Okay, we always want to thank Grassroots TV. Ryan O'Donnell back there. I think he's still back there for broadcasting our meeting live. If you miss it live, which would be so sad, you can always watch it on reruns at www.grassrootstv.org. Tomorrow is the Mayor's Coffee. It's scheduled at 8 o'clock to 8:30 at CC's across the street if you want to come over and chat with me. If you were to actually come and sit with me, I will buy your coffee. Let's see. Okay, I'm just going to mention this very quickly just so people know. Under citizen comments, we've got a couple of special guests. Janice Voss-Caudell and Regina O'Brien are here from Pitkin County, and Bennett Bramson is here tonight with his Legal Environment of Business class from CMC, right? Is it CMC? Okay. Okay, so much for that. Our first item of business is the consent agenda. It's the minutes and a continuation of a public hearing on a tavern liquor license to November 12th for Zane's. Is there a motion on the consent agenda?
Mayor, I move that town council approve the consent agenda items as presented.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And our favorite part is Students of the Month. And this month, it is about trustworthiness. Everybody, all at once, trustworthiness. Okay. We're pleased to acknowledge the student citizens of the month and trustworthiness as described by the following: being honest, don't deceive, cheat, or steal, be reliable, do what you say you'll do, have the courage to do the right thing. Are all the adults listening to this by any chance? Build a good reputation, be loyal, and stand by your family and friends. So we are just going to go down the line. We'll start with Councilor Jennifer Riffle.
Will Etsy Torres Godinez come forward?
Susan?
So Etsy, come stand here, okay? And I brought you a flower. Thank you. Yes. Etsy and I were neighbors for a few years, so it's really sweet to see you here. And congratulations. Thank you. Your teachers have to say, Etsy does the right thing, even if it isn't the easy thing. She plans ahead so that she can be prepared for whatever life may throw at her. Teachers can trust her with any task and know that it will be done to the best of Etsy's ability. Congratulations, Etsy. shake everyone's hand.
Good job, you.
Good job. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, so just to surprise Auden, you want to go next?
Sure. Jamie Rivas. Come on up, Jamie.
Jamie's all dolled up.
So this is Craig. Craig nominated you? Craig Newkirk? Yeah. I'd like to nominate Jamie Rivas in 6th grade. Jamie possesses unrivaled honesty in situations that would cause most students to seek silence. She wields an unbreakable code of ethics. Wow, that's pretty good.
Wow.
And consistently speaks up for what is noble and right. I could not be more impressed with her sense of judgment in challenging social situations, which earns her the respect of her peers and often deters others from poor choices.
Oh, God.
Congratulations.
Whoa. They think you're a superhero.
Good job. Keep it up.
Ryan, do you want to go?
Yeah, is Gary?
I don't know. Oh,
It's okay.
that's our fault, totally our fault. Sorry about that. Watch the cords when you come up here, guys, because they are all over the floor. I guess it can't be helped.
Genesis Barva Alfario? Genesis? Genesis is honest, and I know I can always rely on her to tell the truth, even in uncomfortable situations. She is fair and does not ever try to cheat or steal or deceive myself or fellow classmates. I can trust Genesis to always do what she says she'll do. Other students in the class know they can always count on her to be responsible. I have noticed that she always stands by her friends and defends them if they need defending. I think Genesis is an ideal candidate for October's nomination in trustworthiness. Miss Lee.
Wow.
Thank you.
Oh, right.
Good work.
Help me at the end.
I will.
Okay.
Oh, yay. Thanks.
Sure. Great job.
Good job.
I am honored to read the citation for James Blazier.
James?
Well, James, we're going to be here for a while because Megan, Ted, and Peter had a lot to say. Okay. Basalt High School senior and head student James Blazier is the Student of the Month for trustworthiness for the month of October. James is an extremely responsible student who brings his moral fortitude to student council and school leadership. When we need help or support, James is one of the first we turn to. He is a good friend, an outstanding student, and a great activist for BHS. It isn't just that we trust that James will do what we ask, it is the knowledge that he will do so in a manner that builds trust and pride throughout the entire BHS community. Thank you,
Wow.
James.
So many hands to shake, so little time.
Great work, man. Keep it up.
Enjoy the full pass.
Nice job.
I know you do.
Everson Lopez.
Yay! Here he comes, here he comes.
Everson is a hardworking, caring student who is always trying his best. Throughout the day, Everson is working hard to be the best learner he can be. He is always offering to help me and is always offering help to his peers. When students do not understand something or need help, he is always the first person to offer his help. I always know he is trying his best and he is a joy to have in my class. Thank you for all of your hard work. Miss Lofredo.
Woo!
Great job. Do you want to give a high five? Yeah.
I'm gonna ball and I haven't even read mine yet. Okay, well, I am super honored to be able to read the award for a personal friend of mine, Sawyer Harrington. Would you like to come up? All righty, you ready? Yeah. Okay. Whether in the classroom or during free time, teachers don't have to stress out about his behavior. He has it dialed. That's great. Sawyer does the right thing, even if it isn't the easy thing. He always does what is expected of him without needing prompting. He is very, very respectful. Congratulations. Ooh, that's his hand. He's got a broken hand. Oh, do we have anybody else, or did we get both of them?
I handed off.
One more? Okay.
She's a lovely reader.
And truck.
Yay!
Congratulations, Anne. Anne Truck is a senior at Basalt High School who exudes adult-like responsibility and dependability. If we need something to be accomplished, she will get it done. And when asked to have something done, you'll get it to the table. She follows through with her words. A lot of people put their trust in Anne and share concerns and needs, knowing they are confiding in a safe place. And she's got a knack for Catan and beat Smalley. This is from Kelly Donnelly, Megan Bardo, and Ralph Smalley.
Congrats.
Okay, well, I think that concludes our awards for this evening, and if everybody can't tell, this is the favorite part of our job, at least speaking for myself, it's the favorite part of my job. We are so proud of the kids that we have going through our school system, and especially, well, not especially, but for the kids that actually come in here and the families that all come in supporting them, we totally love you.
Don't forget the pool.
Wait a minute, let me get my...
And Jackie will fill the pool with her tears, and you get to go swimming in them.
So anyway, you all get pool passes that got awards, and also somebody's going to take a photo out in the hallway. So if you want to leave this hot room and go out into the hallway and get your photo taken, that would be great. Thank you so much. I always cry when I say I love you.
Pretty awesome.
Okay. I'm gonna get it dialed here in a second. Shut up, Brian.
Laughing at Lynn, she has a presentation. Lynn, you're not allowed to have props. No props.
No.
It's just comments.
Well, I mean,
Just comments, Lynn.
Okay, so this next section is for people in the public who would like to make a comment for up to 3 minutes. Just identify yourself by name. Let's see. Go ahead. And just to give you an FYI, we don't ever take action on the comments that are made outside the agenda, because otherwise people don't know about them and they can't come and comment, listen to you. So, but go ahead, just introduce yourself and have at it.
Okay. My name is Sam Anderson, and I am a student at Roaring Fork High School in Carbondale. As a member of the Youth Water Leaders team, I believe that it is crucial for kids my age to be able to voice our opinions to policymakers like you. I've come to your meeting today to invite you to attend the Healthy Rivers Youth Water Summit in Carbondale. First, I want to thank the Basalt Water Department for their generous sponsorship of the 2019 Youth Water Leadership Program. Because of them and 20 other sponsors, this program is free for all of us to participate in this year. The summit is a conference for and by students to share their evidence-based call to action presentations with decision and policymakers, as well as with their peers from up and down the Roaring Fork Valley. The summit is an annual event of the Youth Water Leadership Program, whose mission is to create authentic, student-centered learning experiences that increase watershed literacy through civic action. With around 100 middle and high school and college students presenting at the summit from up and down the valley, it is critical to have representatives from each of the towns, counties, and other water, river managers, and decision makers present at the summit. The students are anticipating the opportunity to share with a real, authentic audience who can make real change at the policy level, at the local, watershed, regional, statewide, and national level. Please plan to attend to listen to your constituents, future voters, and powerful changemakers of the future. We will follow up with an email to each of you with registration information, as well as more information about the program and highlights from the past 2 years. As I mentioned, the Healthy Rivers Youth Water Summit will be on Thursday, December 5th from 9 a.m. to 2:30 p.m. in Carbondale, Colorado at the 3rd Street Center. I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have.
I have one question. Is this open to the public?
So I'm Sarah Johnson. I'm the director of the Youth Water Leadership Program.
Okay.
And it is not open to the public.
Okay.
It is open, we don't put it in the newspaper, but it is an event that students and their parents and teachers come, but we limit, it has to be limited in
It's
size.
invitation.
It's
Yes.
invitation only. There
Okay.
you go, yeah.
Super.
And we are inviting you.
Well, great job working on this, and your presentation skills are better than mine, and we really do appreciate you coming. Thank you. Anybody have any quick question? We look forward to getting your email. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, next. Yes, Lynn.
Do you need me to hold them for you?
Sure, no. The shirt says it all. Love. This was the most extraordinary event I have ever witnessed in Basalt in the 14 years I've been here. My gallery had the scene.
Please.
Oh, on the mic.
Mike. I was chosen as one of the 10 recipients of a jazz ensemble at the Toklot Gallery. It's Colorado Mesa State All-Stars. They were awesome. It was jammed all night long in my gallery. Everyone was having so much fun. I don't know what happened in the rest of town because I couldn't leave, but I am so grateful to Sakal and the town of Basalt. And who else is on here? The Roaring Fork Weekly. And also, as an aside, I had an artist coming in that night, and I advertised that any sale by that artist that night would benefit Takal with 20% of that sale. And Richard Smith and I stood around all night waiting, crossing our fingers, and this fabulous lady came up and bought a $5,000 sculpture, which will give Takal about $1,000.
Excellent.
It was awesome.
Thank you.
But thank you for an annual event.
Yeah, it's a great idea. Thank you, Lynn, for sharing that.
Would you like my prop?
You like my Jerry, did you have your?
Oh, you're at 4B now? I just came in late after everybody. I came here to thank town staff and council member for 3 things, and forgive me for reading this. I'm very tired, so I can't remember anything. The first thing I want to thank you for is the community garden. Public Works helps us with the water system. Finance helps us with budget, plot fees, and reimbursements. Without these 2 entities, the work of the garden board would be much more. And of course, thanks to the council for permitting this project. The second thing I want to thank you for is the transparency and ethical treatment of the Tabor problem. Council is doing the right thing, guided by legal opinions of staff. Citizens could not ask for a better, honest approach. Thank you. And the third is, back to gardening. Thank you for taking the small step of having vegetarian dinners at meetings. In itself, it will not have a large impact, but it will point the way and is a beginning. I've been a vegetarian for over 20 years, and while I don't much care for soy either, there are many other delicious food choices. Becoming vegetarian is easy, Becoming vegan is difficult, but remember that dairy cows have the same impact on the environment that beef cows do. As for our local farmers, it will be a long time before they're impacted, but remember, at one time, this part of the valley was for raising potatoes, and they can fall back to a different type of agriculture. And we should be concerned about our local farmers, as we should be concerned about people working in the coal industry as we switch to renewables. Again, thank you all for your time and your service.
Jerry, thank you. Nice. Huge gratitude moment there. Okay, one of you two, you know what, let's let you go, because you got to drive back. Welcome.
Thank you.
Thanks for treading your way through rush hour traffic.
I was gonna say this was, I'm Regina O'Brien, Eagle County Clerk and Recorder, and I love the drive over here, which is beautiful, but then, I'm sorry, that was topped by your Students of the Month. That was,
Yeah.
what an honor to see that. That is so cool.
Yeah, try
That
to
is
be
so
cooler
cool.
than them.
Yeah, it's not gonna happen. Not on my best day is that gonna happen, so anyway, thank you for
Okay.
having us.
Sure.
All right, and traveling, it's construction time, so, yeah. And the same with the students. It's so neat to see such young, bright
They're ours.
individuals. Yeah. So what we're going to talk to you about today, I'm Janice Voss, Caudill-Pickens County Clerk and Recorder, joining Regina here, and we're going to talk to you about the election coming up on November 5th. We just want to tell you when ballots drop, when the Tabor notice went out, when the drop boxes are going to open up, when early voting starts, election day, and when you can get your election night reporting outcomes as soon as possible. So sample ballots, if you want to go online to look at sample ballots, Eagle County, you can find the sample ballot at
eaglecounty.us/clerk. And then if you navigate on the left side to upcoming elections, it'll have a composite sample ballot as well as your Tabor notices. And those Tabor notices, you should have received your state blue books in the mail already, and Eagle County Tabor notices, you should have received those as well.
or you can go to pickandvotes.com, same thing. If you go online sample ballot, we have linked into the Blue Book if you didn't get it in the mail. The Tabor notices that dropped last Friday from both counties. That information is on the website as well. The other thing is, as well as Colorado Women's League, we have the connection as well. The other thing we wanted to let you know is ballots drop next week already. So by the end of next week, you should be looking for your ballot in the mail. Eagle is dropping their ballots on
Tuesday, October 15th, and typically Eagle County voters will see them in their mailboxes 2 to 3 days later. So you should see them by Friday, I believe it's the 18th.
because you use a local vendor down Valley, and they drop in Glenwood. Aspen's drop on Monday. We drop with our vendor out of Arizona, same thing. Look for them later in the week. The other thing is, if you do not receive your ballot by the following week, go online to the sites we told you, Pick and Votes or eaglecounty.us, the clerks. We have links to the statewide system where you can look in your own record by only putting your name, address, your zip code, and either your driver's license and soc, and you can see where we mailed your ballot. You can see the date we dropped your ballot. You can see when you received your ballot back, and you can see when we are counting your ballot. We've accepted it because two judges have reviewed your signature. Okay? So ballots drop next Monday. Look for them at the end of the week. Okay, drop boxes. People like to drop their ballots off at the drop box. So the first place is outside Basalt Town Hall. That opens up on Monday. In Eagle County, you have additional drop boxes.
Yep, so we have the shared drop box here with Pitkin County. We have the 24-hour drop box outside of our Eagle County building, community center building. And then we have additional drop boxes in Edwards, at the clerk's offices in Avon and Eagle. So if you happen to be driving through there on I-70, we have more drop boxes there.
And that's if you're driving north and east. But if you're headed south to Aspen, we have a drop box at the town hall in Snowmass Village, if you work in Snowmass Village. And we have a drop box outside of Pickens County's administration building. Just pull up, it's right in front of the building. Okay? Okay, so those are our drop boxes. Major percentage of individuals use your drop box. It gets to us sooner, and we can process your ballot sooner. Okay. The other thing is early voting. Early voting begins on the 28th. We only have 1 week of early voting. So what we want to go over with you is what sites are open for early voting from the 28th, which is a Monday, through the following Monday, and we're both open on Saturday. So I'm going to let Regina let you know where your sites are for early voting.
So again, the Eagle County Clerk's office at the Eagle County Community Center will be open normal business hours 8 to 5 from the 28th, Monday through Friday. We're open Saturday from 9 to 1. Again, the Monday before Election Day, which is November 4th, 8 to 5, and then Election Day. Both our offices, we close for motor vehicle services and any other service because it's all hands on deck on Election Day, which is 7 a.m. to 7 p.m.
And then you have more VSPCs open than we
Yep.
do. They have multiple offices. We only have 1 office, and that's in the Pickens County Administration Building. We have a VSPC open all week from 8:30 to 4:30 office hours, and on Saturday, 10 to 2. And again, Monday, the same hours, and 7 to 7 on Election Day. So then VSPCs that are open, voter service and polling centers that are open on Election Day, 7 to 7. In Pickens County, it's our one office at the Pickens County Administration Building on Main Street.
And in Eagle County, all 3 clerks' offices in Avon, Eagle, and Elgibel are open. And then if you do happen to be passing through Vale on that day, we have a voter service and polling center atop the Lions Head parking structure right in Vale. So there's 4 voter service and polling centers open the Friday, Saturday, Monday, and Tuesday Election Day.
Okay.
So election night, this is the last thing. You want to know what the outcomes are at 7 o'clock, after 7 o'clock PM on election night. If you go to either one of our websites, eaglecounty.us clerk, or pickandvotes.com, we have links to the election night recording system statewide, all right? So link on that. By rule, we have to upload as soon as practical after 7 o'clock PM. We immediately, the first thing we do is upload to that state system. Stay in your home, stay with your friends, out to eat, at wherever you're at, you can go online and look that up. Our second return is after 9 o'clock PM, and then when we finish at night. Okay, so I encourage everybody, did you know that 85% of people know a month before the election how they're gonna vote? So I encourage people to, when you get your ballot in the mail next week, the following week, just drop it off and return it to us, because we begin to process ballots before 7 o'clock PM. And your vote will be in that first return, okay? And we can get the returns and finish up earlier so you can have the outcomes. It eliminates, for every election, it eliminates electioneering as soon as you get that ballot back. And again, you're guaranteed your vote is in that first return. So thank you if you have any other questions.
And just last thing, make sure your ballots are in by 7 p.m. on election night. Postmarks do not count, so make sure they're in a drop box or in the 24-hour drop box by 7 p.m. on election night.
And remind
Thank
us
you.
the date again.
It is Tuesday, November 5th.
November 5. So just the shortcut of all that, ballots get mailed on the 14th and 15th, which is next Monday and Tuesday. So they could be in your hands easily by the end of the week.
Yep.
And the absolute cutoff date for you to mail them, well, don't mail them on November 5th. They have to be in the hands of the clerks by November 5th. So probably, if you don't mail them in right away, drop them off.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you, ladies.
Okay, Bennett, you've waited forever. Bennett.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Good evening, Council. It's good to see you. I have 4 quick items. I'll keep it under 3 minutes. First one is I want to say thank you to Council once again for allowing us to bring our students from Colorado Mountain College. Tonight is our legal environment of business degree-seeking students here with us this evening, giving them an opportunity to learn outside the classroom and see the real life at work. Second one is just a kind of an announcement and appeal. The Aspen Ski Swap, the 65th annual Aspen, except when it comes to the Basalt versus Aspen game, we like to support our friends in Aspen. That's coming up this weekend. If you need skis, boots, poles, any types of equipment, we need volunteers. So please come on out and help. The benefit is we will give you 1 hour of early bird shopping before the general public. Thursday, it's going to get down to about 6 degrees. So by Saturday, you don't want to be standing out in that line outside the middle school. So please join us, help me out as a volunteer, and we'll get you meals and some early bird shopping. Next one is for our members of the Jewish community. Tonight is Kol Nidre. It is Erev Yom Kippur, the start of the highest of the high holidays. It is a day of fasting and atonement tomorrow. So I want to wish all of my fellow members of the Jewish community a very easy fast. And of course, from last week, Rosh Hashanah, a reminder, Leshana Tova, Tikatevu, a best wishes for a happy, healthy, and a joyous new year. Last, I want to start out by saying that I've become a member of the founding committee of the Basalt Area Gives, and I think most of you are now aware of Basalt Area Gives. It is an organization which is going to be working to invite people, a choice, to take their tax refunds, which you will be issuing shortly, and to help support this community's nonprofits. It is not something that they are required to do. First, I want to thank Auden and the Aspen Skiing Company and Mike Kaplan, who have stepped up as the very first organization to make a commitment of at least a portion of their tax refund to the Basalt Area Gives. Amanda Boxtel and her Bridging Bionics Foundation, and at least 3 or 4 other organizations have already stepped up. So once again, we invite you. It is by invitation. We are looking to raise between $500,000 and $1 million. The Aspen Community Foundation here in Basalt will house the fund, and you can either make a designated donation of your tax return, your tax gift, I call it, because it's found money, to the organization of your choice, or you can give it to the organization, our organization, Basalt Area Gives, and our founding committee will make decisions as to which organizations receive those funding. We will try to create this in perpetuity. But thank you very much for your support of that. We hope that you will take a stand as a council and support Basalt Area Gives. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Bennett. Damn, you're good. Oh, he was good. He practiced that speech, I'm going to say. Anybody else that has comments for items not on the agenda? Okay, let's move on to mayor and council reports and comments. Auden?
Yeah, I just want to follow up on Bennett's comment about Basalt Gives, which has a Facebook page, Basalt Gives, and a website, tinyurl.com /Basalt Gives. This is a really cool opportunity for the community to basically create a community trust for us, and it adds to how we can support the town. The government can only do so much. This is money that will be used for a variety of things we all care about, from education, childcare, mental health, and a board of directors that's diverse will govern it, and it'll be housed at the foundation here. So this is awesome. Aspen Skiing Company has committed 2/3 of its refund, which will be substantial. The rest is going to another charity that we run, and I'm going to give my money to it. And I would just encourage citizens to be involved in this, to consider giving, and I'd encourage other businesses to as well. This is going to make Basalt kind of unique in that it has government and it has various charities, but it has its own trust fund. And over time, we could build this, we could fundraise for it, and have this big chunk of money for things that we can't adequately support. And a great example is, every year we give $75K to childcare. That's not a lot of money, and this could supplement that kind of thing. So kudos to Bennett and to a lot of the other people who were ex-council members. John Fox Rubin is one. Community members like Jim Light, who are spending a lot of time organizing this. It's very optimistic. It's a really cool way to run out our terms as council people, those of us who are up. So I would urge people to look into it.
Thanks, Auden. Others? Bill?
I wanted to give a big shout out to Caw as well for organizing an extraordinary night this past Saturday with Pumpkin Jazz, We spent a bunch of time circulating through Old Town, and frankly, it was the community character that we talk about. It was the vitality that we want. It was just a huge success and so much fun to see people at Coralogos and then later at Tempranillo and then later at Lynn's wonderful Toklat Gallery. And so I hope too that this will be an annual event that we will all embrace, and it will distinguish Basalt as a really cool place for arts and culture in the Mid-Valley. But I also want to shout out to the great group of young people who spearheaded an event at Lions Park 2 weeks ago to call our attention to climate change and hopefully to encourage all of us to reduce our carbon footprint by reducing our greenhouse gases. And special thanks, of course, go out to Oliver Fox-Rubin, who really spearheaded the effort with great support from a large number of kids, especially Niala Mahoney. So thanks to all of them, and thanks to everyone who's taking a stand to combat climate change and is making a difference by reducing their own carbon footprints.
Thanks, Paul. Others? Jennifer?
I'll recognize I did not attend the Basalt, or I did not go in the perimeter of the Basalt ski swap, but wow, was that a turnout. I happened to be in the area of Willits to go grocery shopping, and I could not find a parking spot. Thank you so much for the organizers for bringing the economic vitality to Willits. That was on par. I'd be curious to see with the lacrosse tournament. There were so many people in Whole Foods and all of the establishments around there. So everyone was in great spirits. Everyone was super jazzed for the upcoming winter. And that's just a great example of how we can use our urban areas to gather people for something that they're passionate about.
Thanks, Jen. Brian, do you have anything?
Yeah, I just wanted to share, we help sponsor the boat inspection up at Rudai, and the number has come back. This is the final month that Rudai will be open, but the numbers come back, and we actually found 6 boats this year, which was 3 times as many as we found last year. So the program's working, and if anyone doesn't know, it's a ANS inspection looking for aquatic mussels that are basically surrounding the state of Colorado, and we're taking a huge effort to try to keep them out of our reservoirs, and so far it's working, and I hope we can continue to support the program, and it's awesome.
Thanks for reporting to us on that all the time, because we didn't always get that.
No problem.
And did you have anything, Katie? Okay. Well, those are all, I can't really outdo any of those. Thank you so much, all of you, for the messages you have brought here. So, let's see. Our first presentation is post 2020 work plan and budget. Susan.
Okay, I'm gonna start out, but if the members are supposed to come on up and it's bring your own chair.
BYOC. Half the audience is coming up here. Good, we like that. If you're gonna speak and you can get in the front row, that'd be awesome.
I think everybody should sit in the front row there.
If you
So
can.
There's plenty of room.
And then you can share mics. You kinda gotta get on them for them to work.
Yeah, actually, could you guys move the mics just toward this way? That'll just make it a little bit easier when you speak. So this is the Parks, Open Space, and Trails Committee. It's one of our hard working committees for the town of Basalt, and we're here really to do kind of an update of what's being proposed for the budget and the post 2020 work program, and it's just an opportunity for the council to ask questions about post. We have no particular mission. This is being brought to you at this time because the town council approved ordinance number 8, series of 2019, that outlined the roles and responsibilities of post, and the council desired that post, all the committees come in and check in with them about their budget and their work program before you get too far along in the budget process. So last month you did the green team, you're gonna do post. This meeting and the next meeting we're gonna do the Basalt Public Arts Commission. So what we're going to do today is I'm just going to kind of run through some of the major projects for the Parks, Open Space, and Trails Committee. Just say a couple things about the post budget, and then the post members can add any additional comments, and we can open it up for discussion. But just to kind of say we don't have a particular mission here, except really just kind of a check-in with you. The Parks, Open Space, and Trails Committee is a great group to work on because we have a 1% open space sales tax. That said, we have a proposed budget. It's in your packet. It's in your packet twice. It's included in your packet as part of the budget that Christy and Ryan will present later. But we also attached it to the post-work program, and I put it up on the projector here if you have any specific questions. And just to kind of highlight that although Post has a pretty substantial budget, they don't really get to make a lot of the decisions that are in the proposed or the past budgets for Parks, Open Space, and Trails projects. By way of example, this year in 2019, we paid off the entire line of credit that was part of the funding that we had for the underpass because it fiscally made sense, but it made pretty substantial hit on the parks budget. Also, the town had made a decision to help support the gun range, so we had $50,000 in the post budget for 2019 projects, and then in 2021 we have $500,000, and these aren't necessarily projects that are being brought to you from Post. But one of the projects, the ones I'm going to kick off on, is a project that has been long time on the Post agenda, a project they wanted to accomplish, and that is Albany Park. And so for this year, in 2019, we had budgeted funds to hire a consultant to take us to the next level in terms of park planning for the pool project. This is a project that is very high priority on the Parks, Open Space, and Trails work program, and it's kind of has taken, in prior years, kind of taken a back seat because of work we were doing on other projects like the Basalt River Park. The Post Committee has kind of an overall kind of idea master plan for the park. The top priority is the pool project. We've hired Connect One Design. Post Committee had a very successful kind of kickoff meeting with Connect One Design. And one of the big issues that isn't so fun and sexy with the pool is, one, the mechanical, electrical, plumbing piece of it, and the other is just getting water to the pool. And the Albany Pool is one of the town's biggest, it is the town's biggest energy user, and so has a pretty big goal of trying to make the pool energy efficient. And a lot of money is going to be spent on that piece of it, and also just bringing a water line to serve the pool. The one thing that while I'm here talking about the Albany Pool, we are seeking citizen input through the Let's Talk Basalt website, and we're kind of pushing that opportunity to make comments on what improvements you'd like to see on the pool. And the easiest way to do that is just go to the town's website, which is www.basalt.net, and go under what's new, and you can hit the link and provide comments on that. So we have substantial funding for Albany Park for construction in 2020. We have $625,000. And then in subsequent years, we have also a good sums of money to complete improvements in Albany Park. Basalt River Park, we have the purchase, and James, maybe you could hand me the pointer, but we have the purchase of the property for about $1.3 million, and then we have $750,000 for the capital improvements with that. As you all know from the council, Connect One Design had a meeting with the town council, with P&Z, and with Post a couple weeks ago, where we presented the Eddie Out plan and the front porch plan, and kind of the consensus was of that was to take the elements of the front porch plan and kind of incorporate it into the Eddie plan. We're working toward bringing that plan back to the council for a discussion, kind of what that merge plan is, on November 12th. That's a council meeting date. Whitewater Park, that's the contribution to Pitkin County, and we had $40,000 for $40,000 in the 2019 budget that we're moving into the 2020 for a total of $50,000, and then for the next few years we'll be giving $10,000 to that. So the other town contribution doesn't come out of Post. That's under a street budget, and that's for the Two Rivers Road. Trail work, Post is very interested in making progress on trails. This includes the contribution. There's $150,000 for the portion of the trail sidewalk across the CDC property, but it also includes funds, some of which will be donations to other entities like the Roaring Fork Outdoor Volunteers for trails. Implementation of donation policies, which you've heard about before, we brought to the town council in July. We're working on the, really that work is really being worked on in-house now as we're changing that table into a policy itself. Kind of separate from that effort, the Basalt Public Arts Commission is meeting with Peggy Bear to talk about the statue in Midland Park. We weren't as quick of trying to meet out on site as we had hoped because of other priorities. Park and wayfinding signage. This includes the signage that we had with the Roaring Fork Conservancy, and you know, we're gonna have some temporary signage regarding the dog leash areas, but there's gonna be some more information signs with that. And then coordination with BPAC regarding public art in parks and trails. And before I turn it over to additional comments from the Post Committee, just wanna maybe comment on some of the feedback that we've gotten on the master plan. I put that in the your cover agenda sheet, but we've got a lot of citizen input with our master plan update, and there was just been a tremendous amount of comments on activities that are under the work program of the Parks, Open Space, and Trails Committee, embracing the rivers, providing connectivity, preserving open space, balancing parks and development, looping trails, wayfinding, fixing the mixing trail links, providing access to public land. So that was one of the biggest themes that we really saw from the citizen input that we've received. So with that, I'll just, I did not, and I apologize for this because I didn't introduce the members of the Post Committee, Julie Kolar, Paul Hiltz, Cindy Bruce, Carol Hawk, and Glenn Drummond. And part of the ordinance that you guys adopted set a chair and a vice chair, and Cindy Bruce is the chair, and Julie Kolar is the vice chair. So with that, I'll turn it over for any additional comments.
Don't everybody talk at once.
Well, I think Susan really covered everything that, you know, we have a lot on our plate. But I just wanted to highlight that I think our meeting with Connect One and their presentation of their 2 River Park ideas was tremendous, and we had such great attendance from Town Council and P&Z and Post. So just wanted to thank them again for a challenging technical presentation, but
It was really good.
overcame
It was
yes.
really good. And before you continue, if you have more, I think we just all want to express to you how much we appreciate the work you're doing. I mean, I think that we may have been in the past a little bit cockeyed in the council relationship with any or all of our committees, and I think that just taking a closer look and just drilling down a little bit to get a little more organized and more consistent across the board has really helped us with our communication with you guys and the other committees. So just thank you for your patience and bearing with us while we did that, because it was not from lack of appreciation for your work at all.
And I forgot, there's one post member that's not here, Jason Groves, and I neglected to say that, so.
You did. Anything else from your end, or shall we go to questions or comments from council? Anybody?
Tell us what's not in the numbers. I know that you have a lot of exciting meetings and there's collaborations that you do that don't deal with money for parks and trails specifically. Are there any updates on the mountain biking and trail connectivity partnerships?
I don't know if we have any updates to share.
Yeah, I mean,
Wrote the letter, submitted.
can we talk about,
I don't know if we
I'm not sure if we can. We got one pretty good news about a trail that everybody really, really, really has wanted, so.
Okay, teasers are fine.
Yeah.
I think that, I mean, in all fairness, as much as we want to focus on trails, it's on the top of my list personally. We have been focusing so much on Albany to get it to a place of momentum, because it takes tremendous work to go through that early idea process to early conceptual process into the bidding process. And so we kind of had to turn in focus. And then, of course, the River Park is a huge piece to that. So it's not for lack of interest, it's on the top of our list. Connectivity is basically the theme of our master plan. And we always come back to it and always refer back to that. But it's one of the things that gets backburnered inevitably with these other major pieces kind of taking the forefront. And our hope, I think, is that once we can kind of move past some of this, what you're talking about suddenly has more space. So we jump on the things like RFOV and when other opportunities come up, and we do contribute as well as collaborate, Mid-Valley Trails as well. But it's not this, it hasn't been as active as hopefully it can be next. It's kind of next in line.
Okay, great. That's good to know what you're pivoting to next.
So, thank you again. Does anybody else have?
Well, just two quick thoughts. One is, this work that we do is not glorious, but your work is even less glorious because you don't get any public praise for it, but we couldn't do what we do without you, so thank you. And, you know, I noted that a lot of the priorities that we had are your priorities, right? Because we've been working together on this, so that I'm super excited about the list, and in particular, Albany Park, and the trail work, and it looks like it's gonna be a good year, exciting year for the town. Thank you.
So thank you. Parks and Open Space. Okay. Ooh, it's the big ticket item. Run, Auden. So our next item is a review of the first draft of the budget, including the capital improvement plan, and that is by our dollar money finance leader, Christy Hamrick, and I think we may have the town manager on the phone, possibly?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm gonna just get him
All right.
cell phone real quick.
Hello.
Oh, I thought I got the number wrong. This is Christy at the council meeting.
Why was I talking on there?
I was just watching you guys, so.
Just watching.
Oh.
Very
Oh,
good.
it's delayed. Okay.
Very good. Glad you're here.
Hi, Ryan.
Hello.
Okay, so Christy,
Yeah.
start.
Hear me okay?
Yeah, we can hear you great.
Yeah, you're good. Yeah. So,
Can't see you very well is the problem.
oh, you just look different, so, than normal.
You're so flat on
Yeah.
the table.
Okay, so, Anyway, this is just the start of the budget conversation, the start of the fun. There's a couple things that I want to note on this budget is this budget represents the next step in fiscal transparency and accountability and some of the strategy that we've been implementing financially just to work towards those goals. The two big things that were accomplished with this budget is number one, now our budget is aligned with our strategic framework, and all the parts of the budget are now fairly legibly understandable with the strategy at the front of the document. So we're, in the final version, we're looking at having the strategy be a actual tab in the document to show the importance right at the front. And then it should be readable throughout the document, is that you could look through and see where those things align. The second part of this that was fairly challenging to create, but has turned out quite well, is just the move to the restricted funding, the separate fund for restricted funding. So now we're going to be able to clearly see, and the council is going to be able to clearly see, or the community is going to be able to clearly see, I'm going to be able to clearly see the operating funds and whether or not we're running at a surplus or a shortfall on our operations and our bread and butter for our public works, for our police, and for what we do on a day-to-day basis. And then looking at our restricted funding, have determined a transparent way to also account for that in a separate fund by each one of those separate different accounts for the different restrictions we have. We have quite a few restrictions, as you guys are aware, but those were our two accomplishments for this budget. And I guess thirdly too is that we've pretty much got all these same components in the budget as we had in the final version. So we wanted to do that earlier this year, just to make sure to get as much information out there and have some really great conversation throughout the budget process. So, so with that, I'm going to go to Ryan, and he could talk about the strategy and the strategic framework part of the budget that you guys worked on in August.
Okie doke, Ryan.
So I'm going to be pretty brief about this, but you know, this was different pieces, objectives, and tasks that were picked out of the strategic framework that we adopted back in March. And you know, essentially, this represents the next year's worth of work that we would concentrate on as staff. And hopefully start to show some momentum on, what we've decided as a community to push forward as our main objective. So those represent the community, built environment, the local economy, and then of course the environment. I do want to point out that what's in here is still in draft form. So the council and myself will need to get together one more time just to make sure that this is the final direction. But I think it's a great step for us, and I'm really excited that we're going to have this tied to our expenditures for 2020.
Okay, is that it?
That's it.
Okay.
Okay, wonderful. So now we can get back, right back into finances. So just perusing, this is a 54-page document plus with looking at the front of the document, so it's very large and long. And I'm going to abbreviate and try to keep it at a really high level for everybody. For number one, understandability, and number two, I understand that people can't pay attention to budget for hours on end, so we're going to try to get through it in a reasonable manner. Okay, but just looking at pages 4 and 5 is the budget calendar. The important part of the budget calendar is just to understand the amount of planning that's involved in creating a budget, and the amount of people and manpower that is involved in creating a budget. Our department heads did a lot of work on this budget and really did a lot more deep dive, I would call it, into the detail of the budget. So now they have a process whereby in these spreadsheets that we share, they put all of their detail for each one of the accounts and what's budgeted under each account, so that now for managing the budget and things like that, for transparency, it's just a lot slicker that way, and I think better for their management of the budget, because we really try to keep it at a decentralized managed perspective on the budget. So that's all I'll say about that one. On page 6, a really important part of our budget is our fund balance. And for the community and for everybody just to understand what is a fund balance, that's just, I like to call it your beginning checkbook balance. At the beginning of the year, if you're a homeowner and you have an available balance, that's your kind of your carryover balance into your next year. And so that's what we're looking at in this. Obviously, there's some things that restricted and a little more complex than that, but that's basically what it is. So when you look at the top of the page on the general fund and restricted fund, I've kept those together for this perspective because we're moving to that direction. We aren't there for 2019 yet. When you look at your 2018 actual, your restricted number is 3.9 million, unrestricted is 1,068,000, and that's our audited numbers to get to 5.2 million total general fund balance. On the projection numbers on the restricted, the number increases to 5.379 million. And the vast majority of that was just because of the delay of the Basalt River Park project and then waiting on the TACA. And so those projects, you'll see that we're going to have a reduction in fund balance for 2020. So that's the biggest reason for the jump there. We are going to look at spending a lot of that funding in 2020. And the unrestricted funding is important to understand too. That goes from 1,068,000 to 4.7 million. Now, if you remember back in 2017, we had to do some adjustments for the line of credit and how that was reviewed by our auditors. And so we've done a lot of work to look at other financing sources and get our fund balance pretty much back into shape. So that was part of what council did with the Shiny Mountain Way sale. That actually was able to get rid of the debt for the affordable housing that increased our fund balance. And then also the certificates of participation, because our auditors discovered, with us with this liability last year. And now we're going to be repaying that as we pay that off to our taxpayers. So there's a couple things that are now going off of our challenges to our fund balance. So now we're back kind of in the green on that one. And so we are in compliance with our general fund balance policy at this point. So when we're looking at our other funds, bond fund, 38,000 estimated ending fund balance. That's just for the repayment of our debt, our bonded debt that's approved through voters. So that's really good to have on hand. That money is in case of abatements or those kind of things that do happen with property tax. Water fund, I put the net position as of our 2018 audit because it's on an accrual basis. So until we do our depreciation and that kind of thing, it's not 100% accurate for 2019. But I just want to note our unrestricted balance is around 267,000 as of the end of the year. So we're still fairly tight on what we have available for our capital needs in the water fund. We've got some deferred maintenance, but we're doing fairly well in that fund, and I think we're running so that we're able to keep up now with our current water rates, which is good. But we're keeping up. We're not getting quite ahead yet. It's going to take a few years to get there. Conservation Trust Fund, that's required a separate fund by the state for the proceeds of the lottery. So that's what we have available for parks on that. 199,000 as of the end of 2020 is estimated. Okay, so those are kind of what we would call our balances. Now, if you go to page 7, it's an overall summary of our 2020 first draft of the budget. When you look at your general fund, it shows your estimated beginning balance at the top, and then your total revenue, 7.5 million, and total expenditures is 7.5 million. So when we're looking at our operations, we have a balanced budget. Ryan really works hard. The department heads and myself work really hard to keep a balanced budget to show, fiscal responsibility That's just something that we want to see, is that we have sustainability in the services we're providing. So, so that's what we show here. On our restricted fund, the really great thing about having that now separate is there's lots of timing differences. For example, I was telling you at the beginning of this conversation about Basalt River Park going through next year, whereas we actually received the funding, you know, a couple of years ago and last year. And so the same thing with DECA. We show, you know, revenues in one year and expenses out in another year. So you have all these wonky changes in fund balance because all these timing discrepancies. So that's why you look at our change in fund balance of about $3 million is some of those items. And we can go through a couple more of those examples too. The thing that I'm gonna have available for you that Susan and I are now working on starting today is by each one of our restricted funds, we're gonna have an estimate of a carryover balance for that too in our next version, okay? Bond fund, we already kind of talked about that. It's property taxes in to repay debt. Water fund is, we're showing $137,000 loss in our water fund, but that's because of some of the deferred maintenance projects that we're looking at doing. That's included in our capital improvements plan. That's also in our budget. And Conservation Trust Fund is helping with the Basalt River Park project, $25,000. So it's about a break even on that one. Okay. So, any questions so far?
Questions so far? No.
Okay, is it making sense?
Following along, we're with you.
You're with us. Okay, I was like looking for glazed eyes. I was like, okay, everybody's there. Good.
This is awesome. Thank you for breaking it out. I know it's taken a lot of work.
It's all right.
You're doing, it's trying to simplify a lot of crazy numbers, so thank you.
Yeah, so that it's understandable and that you guys know what track we're headed on. I think that's a reason for the way we're accounting for it in this way. So if you look at page 8, that page is pretty much for our operations, our general fund unrestricted balances, okay? How much we're gonna be bringing in revenues, and then our expenditures by department, okay? And we've got some comparisons for prior years and 2019. Big kudos to our department heads. They took a lot of time to look at our projection and what they were planning to spend this year too. That takes a lot of effort. I'm here to tell you, an expenditure side and really thinking about what we're looking at spending and really taking a deep dive, and they did it. So hats off to them on that. So getting back to revenue really quickly, on the top of the page, you note that there's all the different categories of revenue. And then it says total before financing, and then other financing sources. The other financing sources was the reason for the change in our fund balance for 2019, and that's why I'm listing it separate here as well. And that's, once again, the Shining Mountain Way property, and also our certificates of participation, and that's the impact of those on a revenue basis. And I also have the expenses lined out for the financing uses for the Tabor refund for this year, and sale of the asset for the Shining Mountain Way, all the closing costs and those kind of things. So trying to separate that from the operational side, okay? So, and then I did that at the bottom too. I looked at the change in fund balance after Shining Mountain Way and the COPs. Right now it's showing us $474,000, but we're gonna need to spend a little more on that as we're still lining these funds out even closer. But it's gonna come in a little bit below that, but still to the positive. So, and then once again on our 2020 budget, we have a balanced budget. Okay. And it's too bad Gary isn't here because I have his percentages that he wanted me to add to.
I really liked it. It's super helpful.
Mm-hmm.
Good.
Yes, so I will, in proxy, say thank you from Gary, but also thank you for all of us.
Oh yeah, you bet, you bet. No, that was a good suggestion. And then on page 9, I'm not going to go through.
Can I ask a quick question?
Yeah, please.
Did you say COPs are considered revenue?
That is true, because they're not considered technically legally a debt. They're a lease, they're a buyback lease option, which is why they're allowed via Tabor and those kind of things.
So is it considered sort of like, in my world, rental income or something like that?
It is considered a proceeds from a sale.
Okay, good enough.
Okay, so then that would be, because we're selling it this year, then we're going to be leasing it and paying them as an expense in future years. So that's the, yeah.
Okay, good enough.
Can I ask another question, Christy? Yeah. I'm not sure, what is, the legislative department?
That is you guys.
That's us.
Yeah. And so the reason, you might see that one increased, but we've put all the green team in the 41 department, which is legislative, to try to start aligning all of the budgets together, because sometimes it was put in admin and other places, so we were just trying to make it really transparent and easy to understand in the same categories.
Okay.
Okay.
And so legal, but legal is in judicial.
Legal is usually in the administrative side. We
Okay.
usually take the hit on that one.
Okay.
And the certificates of participation, the expenditure for that, about 250,000, will also be in the administrative.
Beautiful, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay.
Any other questions? Okay. And so then on the restricted side, I'm not gonna belabor this, but the only thing I'll note is that we're using the same departments for both funds. So it's gonna be real easy still to manage. It's not gonna, from that perspective, they'll be able to print the same types of reports and still, work off of the same departments, even though it's showing two different funds. So, this is just the restricted side of that. So nothing else on that. The only other thing I'll note is on the change in fund balance right above the box at the bottom, you notice it's always pretty much in the millions, pluses and minuses. Those are all those timing differences I was talking about with these funds. That's why it's good to separate them out, so you could see your operations clearer. Okay. All right. And then I have some graphs. I'm going to add some percentages on those. I just decided to do that, and dollars on one of them. But it just gives you an idea of where we're getting our monies in. Obviously, the vast majority of our funding source is from sales tax, as you guys are all aware. Definitely an economically driven funding source, but yet still very, very important to this town. So, and let's see, and then just the percent of expenditures by department on page 12. So then, I'm not gonna go through all this detail, because there is lots to be had in this transparent document of, by department, expenditures and revenues. But if you have any specific questions, feel free to ask Ryan or myself, and I'm sure we can help you with that. So the only thing I'm going to note is I'm going to go all the way, so you guys are going to love me, I'm going to go all the way to page 38, okay? So on page 38, just the important note to make, this is about our schedule of bonded indebtedness that remains for our bond fund. And so we have, this is showing how much in principal payment we need and interest payments we need to make over the next couple of years. And we're gonna start paying that off in 2021. So that'll be our last full year of principal and interest of around 900,000 or more. And then it's gonna drop off precipitously after that, and then it'll be repaid after 2023. So that's a really good thing. For that. And then, let's look here.
It's a really, really, really good thing. Page numbers.
Oh.
Do y'all remember back in the day when we didn't have page numbers on this document?
Okay. Okay.
Well, I'm glad that you like page numbers.
There's someone here who wants to make this last longer.
It's making it go faster. Sorry to drag the time on.
No, you're great. No, that's great. No, thank you for the positive feedback. It's very, near and dear to my heart. So if you go to page 41, And this is your water fund, okay? I'm just gonna note for at the use of fund balance, the way last line, you note that we've been having a little bit of a surplus the last couple years. And we budgeted a little bit of a surplus, and we're projecting to get in a surplus of 157,000 for the year. And that's why we have a shortfall in 2020, because we're gonna use that for our deferred maintenance for the swinging bridge project. So I think that was what that was. I'm gonna double check. Because I never try to work off of memory. Swinging Bridge Lane project, which is 300,000, so that's what that's for. And then, so then we can go into the capital improvement plan. This is the same format that you're used to from last year. We added a little bit of an affordable housing piece in there too. We're gonna start doing more robust reporting on that one, but we're just starting it this year. So the one thing I'll note is that our capital improvement projects are part of our balanced budget. So we do have some deferred maintenance, but we're trying to piece out the very most important projects. And we talked to department heads together and make some decisions around that as a group, and then go forward with that. And then Ryan may want to mention some things about page 44, which is our capital visioning. So that's the next part of how our strategic framework and what the future may bring on a capital side. Did you want to say something about that one, Ryan?
Sure, I would. So, this is a conversation that's reflective that we had with our council retreat a couple months ago, and it's really the first time since I've been in Basalt that we were able to really be forward thinking and forward looking, because we had some projects underway already. We were encountered the paver issue, and so now I kind of feel like it's a great opportunity for the council to start thinking about what's next. We've got some exciting projects that we're doing as far as planning for the future. We've got our Basalt Master Plan underway. We're already looking at a plan for the river park across the way, and I think we've now been able to catch up on some of our deferred maintenance items, but I think there's some more ahead. And so, in the vein of trying to keep our services at a high level and providing great experience to our residents and visitors, we started thinking about what to come next. So on this page, you'll see a couple of things on there that we've talked about before. We've got the public works shop. We are still operating out of the same public works shop we had prior to the building out or creation of Willow. So, we're pretty tight in there. We've got a lot of our equipment that, as a result, sits out from the elements. We've got kind of scattered throughout town in different places, and so that would be a project for us to really consolidate all of that and be able to provide service out of one location. One of the things that we've been talking about in the master plan process is the Midland Avenue and what kind of upgrades might make sense down there. I think that could also include the Basalt Center Circle. There's some key parcels in the downtown that we've taken aim at, and so I think putting a number to that is generally, but at least getting that on our radar, something to start having conversations about. Parking is another thing that we've discussed both in Willett
Thanks, Ryan. Anybody have questions for Ryan on that part? We're good. Christie?
Okay, awesome. The remainder is just our capital needs, that were lined out. I really encourage you to look at those, and review those. If you want, I can go through them in detail, or if you want, it's up to you. We could take questions at a later date. It's up to you.
I think probably what we should do is take questions, if there's any questions now. I don't think it's a good use of our time to go line by line, unless somebody wants to do that.
Madam,
Yeah.
can I interject? I also, as usual, would offer to the council that, this is the first draft, and something that you all need time to absorb and look through, and we as staff will follow up with you all individually, just so you can take a look and ask questions or clarifications you might have before we get too far down the road.
And I will just throw out that it is super helpful that last year you and Christy sat down with each of us individually, because it is an overwhelming pile of numbers, for sure. Even though Christy and you both do a fabulous job getting it to policy level conversation, it's just not the same as getting some one-on-one, one-on-two, whatever you want to call it. So we appreciate that.
Okay.
What else you got, Christy?
That's it for now, then.
Okay. Anything else, Ryan?
No, I think that's it for me. Thank you all for listening, and I do want to thank Christy. She put a tremendous amount of time into this, as well as the department heads. So we have an awesome team, and I think we've got a budget that reflects that, and I think we're definitely on an upward trajectory as far as just making it a really great document and a lot of clarity for the community.
Thanks, Ryan. The organization and focus that you all put into this shows. Thanks. See you later, Ryan. Talk to you later.
Okay, bye.
Okay, bye. Thank you, Christy.
Thank you.
Okay, our next item is appointments to Basalt Public Arts Commission, BPAC. Susan.
The council appointed a subcommittee to interview applicants, and that group reviewed two members that wanted to apply to Basalt Public Arts Commission, or BPAC. That was Summers Moore and Karen Andrade. Summers is a board member of the Art Bay. She's an artist, she's a photographer, she's a mentor. Karen Andrade is a Basalt resident. She's an artist, and actually Summers is here in the back. So you raise your hand, Summers.
Oh, good. Okay.
And Karen's with Lazure Custom Wall Design. So they were both recommended for appointment to BPAC, along with Guinevere Jones, who is seeking reappointment to Basalt Public Arts Commission. And the committee recommended 2-year terms for all of them. So what we wanted to do is, if you appoint the group, appoint them for 2 years, and we wanted to introduce Summers.
Okay, that's great. Who from council was on the interview?
Katie Schwer and Jennifer.
Okay, did you guys want to say anything in addition to what Susan has offered? Okay, well then let's have intros, if we could. Did you say introduce?
I just wanted Summers to
point.
just raise her hand.
Okay.
And do you want to say anything, Summers?
No, I can't say thank you. I don't know.
Well, we didn't actually do the motion yet.
Well, if you do, get through that.
Okay, all right. Okay, if nobody has any questions, is there a motion?
Mayor, I move the town council appoint Summers Moore and Karen Andrade and reappoint Genevieve Jones to BPAC, each for a 2-year term.
Second.
Further discussion, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Thank you, everybody who
And
worked
I
on that.
thank them for volunteering.
Congratulations.
Thanks for coming.
Yes. Okay, public hearing and review for renewal of RFSCB LLC, doing business as Roots RX Recreational Marijuana License. Pam?
Okay, thank you. Hi, is Brittany here? Hi, Brittany, come on up if you would please have a seat. This is Brittany Dino
representing RFSCB LLC this evening. Much like a liquor license renewal, days gone by, we do a renewal on a retail marijuana license these days. This is a recreational license for Roots RX at 165 Southside Drive. All of the reports came back glowing that everything is correct, and the police department is happy with the security system over there. There have been no local violations. The building department has no concerns. Fire department is happy to report that they are compliant with the town's adopted 2015 International Fire Code. The planning department has no concerns. The facility is located outside the buffer of park, schools, and licensed child care facilities. They meet the zoning requirements. The finance department reports the applicant is current on their sales taxes. The clerk is happy with all of that and would recommend renewal after a public hearing and any comments from the applicant representative.
Did you have anything you wanted to say before we open the public hearing?
No, ma'am.
Okay, well, thanks for coming. Okay, this is a public hearing. We'll open it at 7:26. Is there anyone in the public that has any comments regarding this renewal license for recreational marijuana? Going, gone. We'll close the public hearing and go to council for comments, questions, motions.
Mayor, I move the town council approve the renewal of recreational marijuana license for RFSCB LLC DBA Roots RX.
Second.
Further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Abstain.
Abstain. We got one abstain and one MIA.
Abstain.
We're gonna call that abstain, I guess.
I don't think she's
not
she's
here.
gone.
Did she leave?
I think she left.
I think so.
Okay.
Appears to be that way.
Okay. Thank you, Pam.
Thank you, Madam
Thank you for
Thank
coming.
you.
Yes, I thought you were one of the students, honestly.
So you became.
Right. Hello again. How are you?
Good, how are you?
Good. Okay, this is public hearing and second reading of ordinance 25, an ordinance of the town amending chapter 18 building regulations of the municipal code of the town of Basalt regarding renewable energy mitigation program, REMP, sustainable building regs, and miscellaneous cleanup items, and amending the town's fee schedule. Amanda, Jeff, Sarah.
Jeff's not here.
Jeff's not
Jeff
here.
wasn't
This is
able to
Rick.
come tonight. He
Jeff.
actually had a trustees meeting in Carbondale about the same.
Oh, Jeff, right.
So we, Rick Fout, our building official, is here with us today.
He's standing in.
I was just here in support, but I'll take a little back seat.
But he was
Okay.
also part of
Okay.
our subcommittee that worked on these.
Our
Okay.
arrangement.
Well, thank you all. So, what do you got?
So just to introduce the item, on September 24th, Council, you heard a presentation from Amanda and Jeff Dickinson regarding the proposed amendments to the town's sustainable building regulations. An overview of these amendments was provided by Amanda at that time. We could reiterate as you see fit. Council, you did not have any comments at that time, but we're happy to allow us to provide an opportunity to, for clarification or ask any questions that you might see fit or suggestions.
Were there any changes made at all, since we didn't have any comments?
There were a few changes that we had highlighted. I wrote in the margins, there were some minor rewording. From the first reading, yeah. There was some minor rewording that our attorney helped us with primarily. So I've kind of called that out, written in the side margins. We did remove the requirement that a heated garage, a standalone unit must be gas. We took away, the word gas since we're kind of trying to move away from that. And again, I think that there's on page 12, there was some minor rewording when it came to the edible landscaping.
If there's anything big, just call that out to us, would you?
Substantive,
Okay.
that was in that portion of
Okay.
it.
All right. So we've heard this once already, and this is public hearing. Is there anybody that has questions before we go to the public hearing? Okay, So we'll open this public hearing at 7:30. Is there anyone in the public who has any comments regarding this second reading? Hearing none, we'll close the public hearing. Council, anything? Questions?
Mayor, I move town council adopt ordinance number 25, series of 2019 on second reading.
Second.
Okay, further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Great. Thank you for
Thank
coming
you.
back in.
Thank you.
Good job. I did want to hear Miss Poindexter talk tonight, but
See you.
Bennett, where are you going?
We were gonna stay, but it was getting to be too much fun.
Come back again next time.
Yeah, come back next time. We'll try to be more fun.
Pick a non-budget review meeting, maybe.
No
No
offense.
offense.
Ooh, Auden, you got in over your head there. Okay, so, don't help me. Next one is public hearing and second reading of an ordinance of the town approving an easement agreement with Holy Cross for the installation of transformers and underground power lines on parcel 2E of the Cypress Meadows subdivision PUD. James.
Thank you. This is a public hearing and second reading of an ordinance that would grant an electrical easement to Holy Cross on the easternmost portion of parcel 2E in Cypress Meadows that's owned by the town. Here's parcel 2E, here's the location of the proposed transformers. The transformers would serve the electrical needs of 4 properties. They would serve the electrical needs of the Taka property, which is located right here, which is the performing arts parcel. It would also serve the electrical needs of any development that would happen in the future on parcel 2E, and the town has had some discussions about potentially a child care center on that property, as well as mixed-use development on parcel 11 of Willits Town Center that's currently starting construction, and then also the Ski-Co's housing development that the council saw on parcel 9, which is located up here. As noted at the last meeting, the Block 11 applicants were going to put these transformers in the Lewis Lane streetscape. This is Lewis Lane running here. But the town staff indicated that we didn't like the transformers in the streetscape because we have them elsewhere in Willits Town Center, and you've got some pictures that are in the packet of other transformers that are kind of front and center in the streetscape. So staff collaboratively worked with the Block 11 and Taka engineers, Cypress Engineering, to come up with the location in the parcel 2E. And the Holy Cross indicated that they needed an easement in order to put the transformers in that location, where it won't impact future development on parcel 2E. So staff supports the location of the proposed transformers. The council approved the ordinance on first reading at the last meeting, but had a couple of questions for staff. So the first question was, does this typically happen that we have transformers on town property? And the answer is yes, there are transformers on town property throughout Willits Town Center, as you saw through the photos that are in your packet. The second question was, should the applicant of Block 11, which once again is right here, be required to compensate the town for the easement, since they are the first property that would be taking power from the transformers, and they would be the one installing the transformers. Staff included some analysis in your packet, and I can't move forward, but it suggests that Block 11 applicants will pay $53,000 for installing the transformers and the connection to the transformers. And it, once again, is going to serve 4 properties, 2 of which are owned by the town currently, the Taka property as well as parcel 2E. So half of the installation costs being borne by the Block 11 applicant to serve those 2 town properties. When you compare that to Block 11's share of the easement costs that are in your packet, the Block 11 applicant is actually absorbing the cost for installing the transformers, which exceeds the easement costs. So staff hasn't included a requirement for the Block 11 applicant to provide monetary compensation for the easement in the draft ordinance. But staff would be happy to go over in more detail those costs if you'd like to have us do that as part of the analysis. But staff would suggest asking questions that you may have of staff, then taking public comments because it is a public hearing, and then providing council discussion. And if you're comfortable, you could approve the ordinance.
Brian?
My one question is, Block 11's paying the $53,000 for it. Do we then have to pay them back at all for accessing it for 2E and/or the Takah property?
They haven't requested a reimbursement requirement, so.
Anybody else? Okay, this is a public hearing, so we'll open the public hearing. Hearing none, we'll close the public hearing. Council, any other questions or motions?
Thank you for the analysis. It still seems, if it were my property and somebody wanted to locate a transformer on it, I would still probably seek compensation. But to the extent that we will be building on 2A, a child care center, let's hope with the $2 million that we've notionally included in our visioning exercise, to the extent that we will benefit from the transformer, that makes sense. So thank you, James, for the analysis.
And the nice pictures.
And you now know more about transformers than anyone on the western slope.
At least in Willits Town Center.
Okay,
Mayor, I move the town council adopt ordinance number 23, series of 2019 on second reading.
Second.
further discussion, all in favor? Aye. Opposed?
Aye.
I see that Counselor Riffle has gone. I don't know when that happened, but it doesn't look like she's coming back, just for the record. She fell off. Okay.
Following in the footsteps of Mr. Mark Kittle.
Disappearing Kittle.
Just for the record. Okay, Resolution 39 of 2019, a reso of the town approving an amendment to the Town of Basalt Deferred Compensation Plan regarding seasonal employees.
If you thought Transformers was complicated.
This is gonna be, this is just a house cleaning item.
It is, yeah, it is
Understand.
unfortunately a house cleaning item. We have an employee that is benefited, that is considered seasonal by Hunter Benefit and John Hancock, and because we want to involve them in the same benefits that we allow all of the rest of our benefited employees to have, which would include the their retirement benefit, that we needed to add this particular phrase to our plan, so.
It's housekeeping.
It is, yeah.
But are there any questions?
Is there anybody else that could potentially be affected by this?
There's
Who's
only
part
one
of-
individual.
There's just one?
Yeah.
But
So, but it would affect anybody that really, was in the same situation as this individual. Like, I mean, so anybody that has those benefits, then can access them with this plan change.
Okay, but this guy works half-time, and they're eligible for town match. Are there any other half-timers that would also be eligible, or this is the
No.
only person?
It's the only
Okay, because otherwise, we would have to consider extending this benefit to them too.
But the company is basically saying you need to go through the gyration of making it formal,
Yeah.
so.
Yeah,
That's,
correct.
you can't just like be inconsistent and have some outlier covered.
Right.
So, I get it,
Yeah.
so.
Yep.
Mayor, I move the town council adopt resolution number 39, series of 2019 as presented.
I'd like to second your motions. No, I think we should continue this.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Yeah, staff, you did a really, really good job of making this easy for us and understandable on everyone's part. Thank you so much. Especially that pages and pages of numbers. Thank you. That was very helpful. All right, we're adjourned. Have a good one.
You look great.
Anyone care to file?